Hey guys, and welcome back to Weird Catholic Things. Anna and Kevin here today. And Kevin, why do we have this telescope here?
That is a great question. So we'll get there in a second because this
Okay.
is one of the things that drives me crazy. I hear
Oh,
it all the
boy.
time, and I'm sure you have too in youth ministry maybe, that the church is anti-science.
I have
Or,
heard that.
have you ever heard something like, I don't really believe in God, I believe in science, or I prefer science.
Many times.
Yeah.
Many
yeah.
times.
And it just, oh my God.
Hit a Kevin pet peeve
Yeah,
here.
that is a Kevin pet peeve, and I'm like, what is that? What exactly does that mean? And I'm thinking about, I'm a nerd over here thinking science just comes from the Latin word scientia, which means knowledge. So I'm
didn't
all
know
about
that.
knowledge too. Yeah, let's go.
Gotta get that knowledge.
Yeah. So the first thing is science. We need to think in a broader way about
Okay.
just knowledge and an ordered, kind of structured presentation of some segment of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But when people say that, they're often talking about modern science in the sense of you're in a laboratory, you're in a white coat, you've got a telescope, these things where we can record something that we observed and we can draw a conclusion based on
So
that,
you
right?
can see the evidence of it. We know
Sure.
for sure, without a shadow of a doubt.
Sure, yeah. And so there's something amazing about that, and the church is not at all anti-science.
What?
Right? Not at all. So not even in that way of this limited sense of material sciences like biology and astronomy and chemistry. In fact, the church has been crucial in furthering science and in investigating and learning these things.
Okay, cool. Well, tell me more about that. Like, how are they connected?
Right. So, okay, let me give just a couple historical examples. So,
Okay.
this is one that's very popular in this misconception is with the Big Bang,
Not the show.
Not the show. Good show though. Very entertaining. Very nerdy humor, and I'm all about that. But the Big Bang, the universe started with this big explosion of energy from this tiny but dense mass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people think, well, that disproved creation, or now we know how the world started. But what's amazing is just think about the person who first proposed the Big Bang theory. Again, not the show.
Not the show.
The first person who proposed this was a Catholic priest
No
who was a scientist. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And he didn't, and neither does the church see it as a contradiction with what we believe about God creating the world.
So it's not in contradiction to Genesis.
No.
Talking
In fact, that's a great question because, we think with the Big Bang or maybe our modern understanding of evolution, that these are things that disprove the way that Genesis tells us that God created the earth in 7 days. But we would call that a fundamentalist interpretation of Scripture. And it's not something that the Catholic Church has ever, in any significant way embraced. There may be some people who say, oh, this Genesis is literal. But for example, if we go back even to the late 300s, early 400s, St. Augustine. Long way before Charles Darwin or anybody was thinking
Right.
about evolution in that sense. St. Augustine was talking about what does it mean when Genesis says the earth was created in these 7 days. And the way he understood it was that God kind of basically as planting seeds that would grow over time.
Okay.
So on each day, understood in a more figurative sense, not a literal 24-hour day. In the garden.
Like seeds in a garden.
Oh,
I'm going with this,
my
yeah.
gosh, yes,
Yeah.
seeds
Sorry,
in the
go on.
garden. I'm
Go
following
on,
you
give me
now.
the-
Yes, but this way of these things unfolding over time, and so that's there from the 300s and 400s. Great Christian thinkers were already understanding it in that way, and so these things are not incompatible with our faith at all, and we don't have to feel uncomfortable or you're right, science does seem to say something against my faith, because the beauty of our faith, our Catholic faith, is that we're always all about truth. And right?
Yes.
I mean, something that we discover through science, could it ever contradict what we already know by faith?
No, because truth is truth.
Right, and God is the author
That's
of all
kind
of that
weird
truth.
saying, but
Truth
it
is truth.
Truth is truth.
But God is the author of all that truth.
Yeah.
And we see in wherever we discover this truth, whether it's from Scripture or from a scientist, that God authored that truth, and these things can't contradict at the end of the day.
Wow.
So I still haven't answered your question.
Yeah, circle back. Why the telescope?
Why do we
what
have a
is
telescope?
this doing here today?
So another great example of the church and her love for science and her endorsement of it is that the Vatican has its very own observatory.
No way.
Yeah.
Woo!
Can't you see Pope Francis going out there? And,
looking in the sky.
that's right. Although Pope Francis can't do that because maybe earlier popes could have. The Vatican Observatory was in Rome, but as things have modernized and there's a lot of light pollution in the city of Rome now, it's had to move.
Where is it located?
Yeah, it's actually kind of in our own backyard. It's here in the United
Sherman?
States, not in Sherman. Sherman's a good guess. That would be pretty cool. We could take a
It's in
field trip.
Whitesboro, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Got to get a little more out of the country. So it's actually in Tucson, Arizona, out in the desert. No, not a bunch of lights or anything.
Farther than Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. You get past the aliens, and that's where the Vatican Observatory is. So you guys should find out. Can we go and actually visit it? I don't know if it's open to visitors, but that'd be a fun thing to explore.
Could we do a youth group trip to go to the Vatican Observatory?
That would be awesome.
Find out and let me know.
Yeah. So there you have it. The church, this awesome Catholic thing today is that the church is very much pro-science because the church is pro-truth. And God is the author of all that truth, and our faith and our reason, they never contradict one another. They go hand in hand.
That's awesome. Very cool. Another weird Catholic thing.